What's up everyone, I am the kaiju Okami and this is my quickie review for Loki.
You should go and love yourself.
Loki is the latest television series for the Disney Plus Marvel MCU TV shows, and for the most part it's an enjoyable series. It's just not as good as WandaVision and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I enjoyed it, I'm glad I watched it. I had a lot of fun with Tom Hiddleston and his chemistry with Owen Wilson, but for the most part, nothing really happened in this show. Nothing was accomplished. It's to be continued into a season 2, which of course it's to be continued in season 2. Nothing was accomplished in season 1. It was like they wrote season 1 and said, you know what, we have too many plot lines to actually fulfill, so we're just gonna leave it off for a season 2, which is kind of weird because there weren't really that many plot lines to fulfill. There weren't that many subplots. It had like 2, maybe 3 subplots. Whereas The Falcon and the Winter Soldier had like 6, 7, 8 subplots and managed to complete them all in its 6-episode run, despite Falcon and Winter Soldier should have been 8 episodes. The last episode was too short. It should have been an hour long instead of 45 minutes. But seeing as how most of the episode was just one dude talking the entire time, I guess maybe they felt they didn't need to make it longer, even though it definitely should have, so they could have actually maybe completed 1 or 2 plot points Loki had. The first episode was pretty damn boring. I was not a fan of the first episode, but it got better as it went along. Episode 5 for me was my favorite. That one was just so awesome, especially when we get Richard Grant as a version of Loki wearing the original comic-based costume. If you're not sure who Richard Grant is, you might be familiar with him as his roles in Doctor Who as the Great Intelligence. He was in Dispatchers from Elsewhere, and he was also in a series of unfortunate events as the Man with No Hair and a Beard. He was just awesome all around. Now, the basic premise of Loki is that Loki from Endgame, if you recall, that Loki that escaped during when everyone went back in time and they kind of screwed things up, Loki escaped. He goes to this place and gets arrested by the TVA, who are the keepers of the timeline, to try to keep that there's only one universe instead of a giant multiverse. And so they've got to go and arrest all these variants that occur that could disrupt the timeline and create a multiverse. It's like an opposite of Crisis on Infinite Earths for DC, where the universe was already merged into one thing beforehand. They kind of reminded me of the Time Bureau from Legends of Tomorrow, or in DC Comics in general, where they keep track of the timeline, but at the same time also the monitors from DC who are watching the multiverse. Whereas this, it's not that they're watching the multiverse, they're trying to make sure a multiverse never gets created, because apparently some war broke out over the multiverse. The Tom Hiddleston Loki is captured and he's basically recruited by the agency by one of its members, Mobius, played by Owen Wilson, to help track down other variants. The concept itself was pretty interesting, and the chemistry between Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson was fantastic. They worked really well together. They were fun. They bantered off each other. Then there were some kind of creepy moments with Loki and this other version.
If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else?
Again, nothing was really accomplished, at least as far as the show's plot is concerned. Now, I know people are like, yeah, but the whole point of the show was so that other movies can happen, like Doctor Strange in the Mouth of the Madness of the Multiverse, or what, Madness of the Multiverse, or whatever it's called. And it's like, yeah, but so this show's only purpose was really to be a 6-episode trailer to Phase 4 of the MCU? It's not like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where they had their own purpose, their own setups, that also had their own conclusions. This was all setup, 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 end. See, that it might work for some of you, but it doesn't work for me. Let me know in the comments, did that work for you? Did just having this whole season just be nothing but setup work for you, or did you want some sort of payoff for the setup? As for Loki itself, I enjoyed most of it, so I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's not the 10 out of 10 that I give Falcon the Winter Soldier, or the 9 out of 10 that I give WandaVision. Click like, subscribe, the bell notification, whatever else YouTube has you clicking in to support me. You can support me on Patreon at kaiju Okami, Facebook kaiju Okami, Instagram kaiju Okami, and my website creativitybydesign.llc.com, and Twitter at kaiju Okami. Until next time, bye.